Hello, good evening everyone, welcome along to the JACKOCAR Kia Series? Cup Series? Who knows at this point? We're here in China for Season 10 Round 3. I'm your commentator Owen Wyatt, and to help the Kia fans out, we've also got our good friend Gareth in the commentary box with me, but also behind the wheel. What could possibly go wrong there? Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Absolutely nothing planned to go wrong. And don't remind me of the Kia Series, especially the fact that it's meant to be due to start next week. Kia Series All-Star. It's going to be, hopefully, the only thing worth watching. But, tonight, driver comms, well, last time I did this, I ended up ploughing into the side. I think it was Ben Harrott on turn 1. So I would say things can only get better, but that might actually make things a little bit more appealing to everyone watching.
Well, this is it depends really what sort of drama we have. Maybe on lap 15, 16, if it's getting a bit dull, that's where we deploy you. But we'll see how that goes. We've got the likes of Pete, we've got Kieran out there, plenty of people who could cause a bit of chaos as we return to China. It feels almost alien being at China. I know we probably raced in it a lot more than I think, but since it was off the F1 calendar for so long, it's weird because shock horror, Cody's haven't bothered to update anything about this track, so this is still basically the 2016 variant of it, even though in real life they've had a few touch-ups to it. It looks like a respectable racing track again, as it was starting to look a bit dull before, so sorry we're stuck with a dull version. But luckily for us, we've got 17 drivers, so hopefully they'll be able to give us something interesting to watch. We believe Matt Roseman's on his way from work. Don't know how long that'll take, don't know when he'll get here, but hopefully he's got that 17 minutes and he will be here in time to race, because who cares if he starts at the back, it's fine. We've seen plenty of performances from the back before, and like I say, with a field like this you can do pretty much anything you want.
Yeah, and I think Waste Cooper we are unfortunately expecting as well, but if he shows up or not, it's well, I don't think we'll notice, because he'll probably blend into obscurity as per usual. But it's just going back to what you were saying about us not really being here at China. I think you're right. I don't remember racing here too often in the Cup Series. I know Kia have done it quite consistently over the last few seasons. Haven't provided the greatest of racing, but of course there's the Kia Series. But it is a circuit that can open up a bit of a DRS train, especially down the back straight, the longest pure straight in F1. And, it's going to be one where I think those people that perhaps have played the game a little bit more would probably have a little bit of a better run, due to the fact that I think this is just one of those tracks where you don't tend to run this in TT if you're just doing some laps. You only really do it if you're a fan of the circuit, or of course if you've done it in career mode. So it'll be interesting to see who takes to the circuit.
Well, this is it, especially because in the last sort of 3 F1 games, China's actually been shoved to the back of the list. So most people may, especially if we haven't been here in the Cup Series, I would check, but it would take ages. If we've not been here for a while, most people won't have had a reason to touch it if JACKOCAR's their main league, and those people don't really race much these days. And so this is the first time it's back sort of front and centre. It's round 5 of the championship in real life, so hopefully some people have raced on it. I've raced on it in career mode, so for the most part the track is pretty drivable, although I will say the difficult parts are what they have always been here, and that's mainly sort of turns 9 and 10, the double left-hander after the S section in the middle sector. We're on board with Jess as she heads through it, and the issue is it's you don't want to touch the curbs too much, and you don't really know where to put the throttle down. It's a corner which can have 2 or 3 different lines, and they never feel right. And that, I reckon, is where we might see a lot of issues during qualifying and the race. Also, turn 12 and 13, difficult traction zone. Again, if you get that wrong, you will you won't spin, you'll just drift, really, because that's the way this game works. But it'll ruin your lap regardless. So there are a few sticking points, which we will get to see as the night progresses. But yes, Jess out there in her traditional, her yellow and her purple. I don't think she's got any sponsors on it, but oh well, we can only get so much. on a game where there's barely any customization to begin with. Round the final corner then, let's go for a lap here in Shanghai with Jess as she heads down towards turn 1. Like I say, there's massive grandstands there now in real life, but here we've just got a few people dotted around. Turn 1 and 2 seemingly never ends. Tightens up in towards turn 3. You want to drift out wide for the exit as you head through to 4, gives you the best traction. And then you can blast off down towards turn 5. Little kink, but if you're not paying attention, it can ruin your lap. We've seen it happen before many a time in league racing. Turn 6, she hits the apex quite well. Difficult braking zone there. It's certainly one for the later breakers. But Jess, she took it relatively easily, but that might just be the way to get her lap done. 7, do not touch that curb on the inside, you will lose it. You can slightly get away with it in 8, but Jess hasn't tried it. Somewhat wide entry into 9 and wide entry into 10. I'd say sort of wide entry into 9, then cut for the acute angle for 10 is the best way to go. And then in towards turn 11. Tricky with that curb on the inside, but Jess avoided it relatively well. 12 and 13, it's just being patient on the throttle. You can see her throttle trace there at the bottom, and she's only just gone full throttle and straight onto the ERS. She's got loads of her tank left. I hope she was on hot lap the whole time, although it has to be said you can use overtake quite a lot. She was in a hot lap, so that's worth pointing out. People will probably use a lot of overtake on that back straight because it is faster. Good run in towards 14 and 15, hitting the apex of 14 quite well. Last corner, turn 16 is also a little bit tricky if you hit the curbs wrong, and Jess actually had a bit of a snap on the rear end as she headed through. She has, though, got across the line. 1 minute 34.466. That is our benchmark. Now, we're looking for someone on lap, hopefully. I believe Tony.
Our 2 newcomers.
Yes, so Tony, let me just make sure I get this absolutely right because we're going to do them in the official order according to the Jacko bloke. Well, Tony's our 79th driver, but Harry's our 78th, so great stuff. They're in the wrong order. Harry actually is in the middle of Sector 1, but oh well. Here comes Tony Cliffy. We've seen him many a time before in many other leagues. A lot of the people here know him. He's run out of ERS, but he comes across the line. 3 seconds clear of Jess, 1 minute 31.3. That is quite competitive. I imagine that will be relatively near the top. It won't be breaking any records, though, I don't think.
No, but Tony, I mean, this is a driver that I've kind of seen, commentated over, raced against for several years now, and to be fair, this is the first time I think I've ever seen him put a competitive quality lap in at China. He always tends to prefer to start at the back on hard tyres, but in JACKOCAR, I don't think that's going to wash. You'll end up finding yourself getting involved in unnecessary accidents very, very early on. But it'll be interesting to see what he can do. He'll be fighting in the front. Harry, what's he getting up to?
Well, he's gone all purple with his livery. He's taken the default livery and just decided, well, I've got some purple, I'll add a bit more purple too. And actually, it kind of works. I don't mind that too much. It, well, it might well stand out because a lot of people try to get away from the purple. So look out for the old purple machine as he comes around the final corner. That's going to beat Jess's time, but it's 2.3 seconds away from Cliffy. And yes, it is Tony Cliffy. This is where you'll find out the people who've been here since, I don't know, day one, back 6, 7, 8 years ago, and the rest who are just like, who on earth is Cliffy? That's Cliffy, right? So I probably should stop talking. Do you want to talk us through what you're doing, or is that a bad idea?
No, I can tell you through. It's the long left-hander now, keeping it pretty much throttle pinned in 7th gear, knock it down into 6th. Lift off the throttle a little bit, take you around, then you say it's that double left-hander that catch you out. You can't take the inside curb or else you'll do that, kick the rear end out. I can't stand this circuit. There's no grip to it whatsoever. It's actually this corner I find the most difficult. Off camber, uphill, back in wants to step out. I've actually been driving remarkably worse since you actually joined me. I did the first sector all right, but around the exit of the snail section onto the back straight, over a mile long down towards the hairpin. And DRS opens around about a third of the way down. Use up the rest of the battery if you can do. Heavy braking zone into the hairpin. Take it down into first. Flick it back up into second to get you a little bit slightly better traction. I'm on no traction for the first time, so I say for first time, first few games. But up to the line, it's not going to be a great lap. It's going to put me a 33 flat, which is behind Tony, but ahead of Harry. So I'm not as bad as I thought I would be.
You can see what I mean about that entry towards turn 9. I think you'll find throughout the race, you'll do it differently every lap. It's a nightmare of a corner.
I think it's a circuit where, I mean, unless you've driven it a lot, you will find that a lot of the corners you take, I mean, I find that I take turn 1 and turn 2 almost different line every single time, because you take a little bit, sometimes you take a bit too much speed, sometimes not enough speed, sometimes it's a bit more of a brake, sometimes it's a lift. So it'll be interesting to see. That's where you'll see quite a few people thinking about eyeing up moves, but then the corner does pinch on you quite quickly, so you can't throw it down the inside because you'll find yourself pointing in the wrong direction with a bit of contact. So KK moves up into second position.
Indeed, he had a little bit of a difficult time getting out of the hairpin, but still second fastest. We saw a little bit of pace through in Saudi Arabia last week, although it did go wrong after Gareth started talking him up, which he's already done there by now, announcing his lap time, so that'll be his commentator's curse gone already. But again, at least it's not on FIFA, so it could be going worse. As we see Jordan, and Jordan probably wishes he was on FIFA, but we'll see how he gets on through the final corner. Jordan, who obviously, with his race win last season, we're hoping he'll kick on a little bit as he goes just 4/10 off Cliffy. So I think that sort of backs up what we were saying, really, that time wasn't anything world beating. So the horrible fears that he may run away with this are maybe unfounded, but we'll see. He may have been just running on no ERS or something. I can't say I was paying much attention. And here returning is my favourite livery from last week, here on Jamie Numbers, although it must be said, doesn't look as nice in daytime, so I think it's definitely a nighttime special. But still, it's nice to see some pink on the grid. I'll never say no to that. And possibly a distant toe down the back straight, although I think that's quite ambitious to say that, really. As into the hairpin comes Jamie on board, very cautious out of the hairpin, and still losing the back end somewhat. Out of VRS as he heads into the final corner. It'll make the exit out of here a little bit easier, but a lot slower, and that's going to be just 5th fastest, I believe, Gareth. Now you've joined me in the commentary box, rather than me in the cockpit.
Yeah, I've decided I'll get out of the car, run up to the box quickly, just before I run back down, so we'll be able to take you around the lap of, who have we got? We've got Pete Knighton, who is making his way out, and Peter, who had actually a good quali session last time out in Saudi Arabia, is a circuit that he does enjoy. This is one that maybe not so much meets his skill set. Not quite sure what that skill set is after a few years of knowing him, but
well,
around
the... won his only championship, if that's worth saying anything.
That is true. Back in, I think, the times before we had the internet, that happened.
Yeah.
But
that is COVID title, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah, exactly. It's like Liverpool's. It doesn't exist.
Doesn't really. No one remembers it.
But up to the hairpin, can he get it slowed down? He can. Down to second gear. He actually elects to stay in second. Gives him a slower engine braking, but a little bit less engine braking. But last corner takes a little bit of inside curb. He had to get out the throttle a little bit more there, but up to the line, P3, 32 flat for Pete.
Slightly better ERS strategy from him than we've seen from a couple of others, because others were running out of ERS long before the final corner. This is where you'll find out who's practiced, really, and who hasn't, because, it's weird that Hot Lap, they've done 3 or 4 fixes to Hot Lap, and it still doesn't just drain all in one lap properly. I mean, you can get away with using an overtake at moments, as MK Bourne's doing, as he comes up to the line to go P5, but, people will have been tinkering with that a little bit, possibly even on the out lap, although that's quite a risky thing to do. We'll see if anyone really takes full advantage of that throughout the rest of the qualifying session, as we see Leroy coming to the start of Sector 3.
Yeah, it's as you say, the ERS management is going to be a big part of qualifying this game, and I actually would have preferred it if, rather than bringing back various different modes, if they'd had it so pre-lap you could coordinate where you want it to deploy and where you want it to recover, so I don't have to worry about micromanaging during the lap time. But as Leroy is on his lap, up to the hairpin he goes, takes a little bit of inside curb. You can take quite a lot of it there and almost cut the entire inside corner. Up to the final corner for the Dutchman. Gets off the throttle, back on the pedal, up to the line. What's it going to be? It's going to be a P7. It's a 33.071. He's slower than me. What an absolute washout.
And just cutting on to Casper there, he had a very similar slide to the one you had through turn 9, hitting a lot of curb on the inside of 11 and 12, so he's taking the curves quite aggressively here as he comes round, and frankly we're expecting to be the pole position lap. I think for the first few weeks of the season, Casper will have that pace advantage. He is a bit like the RB20 in that sense, where you would expect the lead to slowly disappear after a while, but when he's had so much more experience in the game, he's got to be taking advantage now. He's not got a win this season. He lost on the last lap of the Australian Grand Prix to Khalifa, who got him on DRS. He's then promptly gone off on holiday. And Jake won in Saudi Arabia last week, so this needs to be Casper taking advantage this week, and he hasn't. He's behind his teammate in Cliffy. And it has to be worth saying, by the way, with Jake, that was his 4th win in Saudi Arabia ever. I called it as his 3rd at the time. He's even more impressive there than I remember.
Do we think that Casper might be leading the most amount of races lost on the last lap, leading on the last lap? Because he's, of course, famously was overtaken by Ben Shaw in the C5. He gave up the win to Jordan, I think it was, during the Speedway. He's lost to, of course, Khalifa on the last lap last time out. So surely he must be up there with leading and then losing it on the last lap. So that would be an interesting statistic that I'm going to put Mr. OCAR to find out.
Yeah, it's got
that'll give him something to do.
Yeah, looking at his list, that sadly isn't on there, but he does have 9 wins, does Casper, so at least he's got a few across the line. It's risky. Good lap from him there to go 4th fastest. It is a bit like watching him in Canada every season. He's starting to get quick in multiple places. It's quite nice to see. But he's no Euros winner, that's for sure. As we see Ben Harrett coming through into the hairpin. Ben Harrett, who we believe is the one who took you out last week, rather than Mr. OCAR.
Yeah, I know, it's disgusting, isn't it? I'm starting to think that it's targeted. I think that he's now 4-1 up in takeouts as he goes into P6, so only a few places for me to make up to put him into a spin and make it 4-2. But yeah, he will be, I'm sure, relatively happy with that. I'm actually not too displeased with being a little bit further back, because I do think the middle of the pack at the start, especially in China, can get a little bit hairy coming into turn 1 through turn 3. So Corey's going to be out there wanting to improve on a time. Kieran's starting his lap as well, but it's going to be Corey, I believe, the next one to set a timed lap.
The rear end of Corey's car looked very excited all the way through that first section. He's really hustling it round here, and you would expect that a little bit. He's always been quite aggressive all over the curb at 7-2. I don't think he's done much practice for this, has he? But he's certainly given it some round here. And maybe a little bit too slow through turn 9, but again, it's just so hard to judge how you're meant to take that corner. It's weird to say, but you almost sort of ignore turn 9, get nice and wide and just cut through 10, but it's easier said than done because there's no traction there, as you find out, Gareth. No traction through 12 and 13 either. And like I say, Corey's rear end, his tyre wear must be horrific in the race, but as long as he can get himself near the front, luckily we're on 2 stops here, so he can destroy the tyres all he wants. As down to the hairpin he comes. Let's see if he can challenge his teammates up at the front. All 3 of them. ERT 1, 2, 3. Can he make it a 1, 2, 3, 4? You would imagine so. And he's got a little bit of ERS left, although it has to be said he drained to the single-digit numbers quite early on there, so he may not have much power, even though there is stuff in the tank, and he does go 4th fastest. And Jordan will be quite pleased to see that. I don't think Corey will be, though.
No, it's a good lap time there from Jordan, that 31.7. Is Kieran, as we were talking about earlier, is he choosing to use no ABS on pad? Evidently so, because he locks up the rear tyres and just saves the car from going round, but that's going to put him down in the 34s. Yeah, he is going to go a 35 flat, so that's a former champion starting at the moment, due to be 15th. Looks as though it could even end up being 17th with, I don't believe we've got Matt Rosemond or Waste Kuba that have turned up for this one, so Matt obviously has the excuse, he was driving home from work. Waste, who knows, but are now on his lap. Jacob's just starting, going through turn 1 and turn 2, but the Belgian, who've of course not won a championship so far, but seems to always be there or thereabouts. What can he do? Can he make it an ERT first 5 places in this one? He'll be looking at pushing on. He's got to hit about the 31s. He looks on target to do so, and he does. 31.5 for Arnow.
So that leaves last week's race winner then in Jake O'Sullivan. He's got the Mercedes colours on there, really. I'm sure he'll claim it's something else, but it's the Mercedes colours he's got on there. Let's see if he's going to break up the ERT party. You would sort of hope he would, really. He's on form. We know what he's like, and it's a very good middle sector, nearly into the 50s, although a little bit slippy slidey through turns 11 and 12. Not the first time we've seen that today. I suppose it might not cost him too much in the end, but as he comes into the back straight, let's see if he can make anything work. He's been on pole 14 times in the Cup Series in his 109 races. Can he extend that to 10 and take the form from last week? Not with that entry to the hairpin. That was a bit late on the brakes. Misses the apex, keeps it on track, but that'll leave him a little bit nervous into the last corner. Takes as much track as he dares. 1 minute 31.3 to beat. He looks good. He's got it. He's got pole position number 10, and Jake breaks up the ART party. He sends them all packing, and last week's race winner is on pole by just a tenth of a second. And you know what's good to see here? A load of drivers within a second, because we were saying how long it would take to see the convergence, and we're already seeing it. In fact, you know what, the top 14 within 2 seconds, it's really not all that bad, and so that gives us a bit of hope.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we'll see if they can. It's very easy to be quick over one lap. We know that China is one of the worst circuits for tyre wear, and people manage their tyres differently. This is actually a circuit where I think one of the only ones on the game where you can actually use your tyres up in the first half of the lap in quali and suffer in the latter stages. Don't tend to find that too often throughout the rest of the game, but it's really going to be a kind of a bit more of a strategic battle here, where do you use an aggressive setup, an aggressive tyre usage in the first stint and try and bridge a bit of a gap? Will we see teams working together? There's a couple of speed guys in and around. You've got the likes of Risky in P7. He's going to be wanting to work with Pete in P8. You've got ART and Ben Spurs and OKK, MK Bourne. So team play might come into it today with helping each other with a little bit of a toe, perhaps protecting those tyres as much as possible.
Obviously, safety cars will come into this, so people, or at least you'd hope safety cars will come into it, especially people who want to run aggressive setups, because they can, in a sense, ruin a set of tyres as long as there's a few safety cars in between. And as well as Corey says in the chat, actually, he says it's going to be Carnes, and he's the one I would expect to be the most aggressive, so maybe he's hoping for those safety cars as well. We did see, unfortunately for you, Gareth, I'm sure you saw it as well, Waste did show up at the end of that qualifying session. Obviously didn't get to set a lap, but he should be parking up last place on the grid. I still haven't seen Matt Roseman though yet, and I think we're too late really now, aren't we?
Yeah, if you haven't made it in by the end of quali, I doubt they'll give you a slot. That'd be like trying to push your car out from the garage when you hadn't actually signed up to race. But yeah, if only the stewards had to okay someone that hadn't qualified. But yeah, Wace is in there. He'll be starting alongside Kieran on the back row. Well, strategy for this one, as you say, two-stop, hards, medium. Medium is what the game wants you to do. Will we see someone go aggressive off softs off the start, the softs at the end? It's, as you say, safety cars most likely will come into play. Softs only really last about 4 to 6 laps most here, so will be interesting to see where they go in terms of hards off the start, mediums off the start, or does someone go ultra aggressive, of course wanting to get an early pit stop in and going soft straight away.
I quite like the sound of that. I didn't think the tyres would wear as much as that. That's good news, I think, for this. Was it 28 laps long, I think? So, obviously, look, you can count some safety cars in there as well, especially if the tyres are going to wear that much. I do see some red-banded tyres on the grid. I do also see some white-banded tyres, Gareth, but I shall talk through all the tyres if you don't mind me ruining your strategy.
Feel free.
The majority of the grid are on the medium compound tyres, so I will talk through the outliers because we've got 4 on the sauce. They are Casper, they are Corey, so he's sticking to what I'm saying about the aggression, Leroy Hasselager, and Waste Kuba. So they are our soft compound runners. Gareth, you're the top hard compound runner, and there's already a car off in front of you. That's your old mate.
Get away from me.
Already looking for you again. That's heartwarming to see, isn't it? But yes, you are the leading driver on the hard compound tyres, and then you got behind you Jamie Griffiths and Kieran. That seems sensible on the hards. Have no tyre temperature whatsoever. Have no chance of getting acclimatised to the game because you're too busy locking up all the time, and in the barrier by the end of lap 2, if you're lucky. He's even put some colour on the car as well. This is very, it's like some sensible colours. It's a very uncaring-like day. It's weird. I don't like it.
He does tend to go like me for the ugliest liveries you can possibly think of, except he's trying to make it look nice.
Even yours isn't that ugly, though. I mean,
no, I will. Obviously, we talked about this last week.
Well,
I will be using the stock livery for the game because I refuse to give unless I earn. If they are gracious enough to give me any pit coins in whilst I play their game, I might buy a livery or two, but I'm certainly not paying for anything more. This game is worth £60. You should get at least more than one livery and one helmet. But no, the tyres. I mean, there was no real thought process that went into starting on hard, so maybe running long. It's most likely going to be a safety car early on in this one. There always tends to be someone get involved in something. The guys on softs, that'll be an interesting call. Leroy's going to be very quick. I imagine he'll get me off the line, should do on those tyres. I imagine even Wace, he goes ultra aggressive. But the ones on the mediums, are they going to try and extend this opening stint? Of course, you can pit after lap 3. Are they going to want to extend that a little bit to make those worthwhile?
Well, we will find out. It is worth saying that the stages here are lap 5 and lap 18. So if you're on softs and you happen to lead the race, you're going to want to at least get in that far so you can pick up that point. But lap 18, surely everyone will be on mediums or hards, but the second stint is a car nearly into the wall or at the final corner. That is Kieran. So that's never a good sign as you lap on the grid. And yes, that is our camera angle. I can't do much about that. We've got to ride on board with someone, unfortunately, but we are on board with... let's go on board with Casper. We've got 5 lights here in China. Look out for the ERT man as we get underway. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing. And it is indeed Casper who's going to take the lead in towards turn 1 already. Riding outside of Jake. Surely he'll be able to make that work with the grippier tyres. Jake's not going to want to risk anything too early on in this race. There is a bit of chaos. MK Bourne's falling down the order. Arnold's up to 3rd place. Tony Cliffy is fighting him, and there's contact between the ERT teammates. Here comes Corey. He's also on the soft compound tyres. He'll want to try and make something work around the outside of turn 5, 6. Surely that's not going to work. Off goes Ben Harrett. He's sliding but not spinning. Well saved. He looked like he was going to lose it completely there. He's now got Jamie Griffiths alongside him and Wes. Again, well done for all keeping it clean. NK Bourne hasn't got any damage, so it was just a small mishap at the start. Hopefully he'll be able to get back in it. Surprisingly, everyone is still pointing in the same direction, Gareth. And you've made space up.
Yes, I've made a couple of positions up, a couple of spinners. MK Bourne, I think, just dived down the inside of someone into turn 3, got clipped, went around, and Ben Harrett, I think, was on the outside. Same thing for him. Leroy has made a good jump on those soft tyres. He's already up to 10th position. I've now got the dreaded Waste behind me as well, so no fighting with him. He can burn all his battery as he's doing at the moment to try and get past me. I'm not going to fight him. I'm just going to try and scare him as he comes past.
Oh, was that contact? That sounded very nasty from where I was coming from. Cliffy got it all run into the braking zone there, into the hairpin, and I think he might have just avoided Jake. I don't know how. Maybe our camera angle made it look more impressive than it was, but I had to stop myself there. I was expecting an airplane crash, but he has lost ground to Arnold there, and he'll be trying to regain that in time. But at the minute, it's Jake pressuring the back of Casper. DRS enabled on this lap. He's not letting the race leader run away with this at the moment. And look at that. We've got Cliffy trying to get straight back at Arnold, and this could be a race on scrap at this rate. These two have given us 3 or 4 side-by-side moments already. Around the outside is Ben Harrett. It's gone off. We'll find out what happened to him in a moment, but Arnold holds off his ERT teammate, so good driving there. Wes is on a default setup, by the way. He put into the chat earlier on, so that's worth remembering for later on. He may well struggle. In fact, he will struggle. That's a death sentence on this game. And yeah, we'll see how that affects him as the race goes on. So, DRS down the long back straight. You get it about 40% of the way down, so it's a pretty big advantage. Obviously, we've seen in real life a lot of DRS zones get reduced, and obviously in 2026, DRS will disappear altogether. So I expect to see DRS zones getting shorter and shorter through the years, but that's not really going to be what's on Casper's mind. In fact, he's let Jake through, and he's now going to get to slipstream off him, which is an interesting tactic. It keeps him on the back of him, I suppose, but it almost invited Arnold to pass him. We've got side by side as Pete goes up in front of Jordan, but then goes wide. Risky also went wide, and that's going to let Jordan get back past Pete. Not going to let him anywhere near Risky, though, as Risky just falls off the back of Corey, who he was pressuring before, as Casper now has his turn on the DRS. He's under-fueled his car, by the way. A few of them have. China's very bad for its fuel consumption, so a lot of drivers might struggle, as might you if you're still in the race by the end. So that's a bit of a tip. Save some fuel when you can. They'll be begging for some safety cars.
I did not take any out at the start.
My goodness me. Jordan, sorry, I don't know how that's not a big accident, but Jordan's lost his front wing end plate, hitting the back of Pete, and that's very disappointing because, you know what, he was having a good start to the race. That damage is going to set him back a little bit.
I think there's actually quite a bit. I'm not quite sure if it's OKK or Leroy. One of the other ones up there was a little bit more front wing that went on the previous lap, so I think that battle in front is getting a little bit heated. So
you're right, OKK.
Yeah, so I think they're doing well at the moment. Because I'm a better commentator than you.
Unbelievable. I suppose he's only 2 cars in front of you, actually. But yes, he indeed has his front left end plate missing, so that might prevent him from moving up the field a lot. But yeah, a lot of people have their warning lights on already for fuel. That is a concern if this goes green all the way. A very rare occurrence in JACKOCAR, it has to be said. I'm sure it hasn't happened many times. But if it does today, this could be like Imola back in there, was it 82? 87? No. Was it 82? Might have been 82, when they all broke down right at the end and they all ran out of fuel and it was quite a mess. Then the Ferraris went and fell out of each other, which ended well. And, yellow flags again this time. It's in Sector 3. I wonder what's caused that. I don't see anyone off the road, but what I do see is Corey and Leroy straight away into the pits. They weren't going to be winning any playoff points, so they've pitted at the end of lap 3, which is, of course, the earliest you can make your first mandatory pit stop. Now, what are they going to put on? Hards or mediums? It's hards for Leroy, and it's hards for Corey as Wace into the pits. Default setup, it was never really going to work out, and he's retired as a result of that. That's not a massive surprise. I think it was always going to happen. Casper is now down to 4th. There was a lot going on there, but he must have got done on DRS. I was more focused on the pit stops, to be brutally honest with you. But Casper, maybe his softs are starting to fall off as well. I'm sure he was hoping to make it to lap 5, but if you're down here now on lap 4, you might as well get yourself into the pits, because you can see on the onboard he is losing ground quickly. And yeah, no real point staying out. Let's see if Arnaud can make any impression on Jake. He's just about still in DRS range as Jordan and Pete fight away. And despite Jordan's damage, he's doing quite well here. On OKK, he's holding on to him in front. Of course, they both have damage. That's probably 2 cars that'd be quite pleased to be near each other, I suppose. Pete, though, he'll be wanting to do something about it. Here comes Cliffy down the inside of Arnaud. I wonder if Arnaud can make an impression on Jake, but instead it's going to be ERT fighting ERT once again. And these two, like I say, all the way from the first corner have been side by side, and it's Cliffy who comes out on top this time. Surely Casper's into the pits. He is indeed. He's lost 2 seconds on this lap. Surely the undercut then, in that case, from Corey is going to be immense. He's got 11.4 seconds of clean air in front of him. And we will hopefully see him get himself into play, although of course the hard tyres, they will take time to get to temperature, but that's what you'll get when you've got such a big gap between the first and second stages. A lot will be on mediums or hards for that second stint, but I would imagine most likely the hards. Saying that, Casper has gone on mediums and Risky on hards, so we are indeed seeing that split, and we'll see how it all plays out. Where does Corey end up then? Has he been able to get much of an undercut? No. Maybe the tyres again, they'll... Well, actually, it doesn't really matter. Casper's on mediums. They won't take too long to heat up. So I think he's lost some ground there, has Corey. And now into the wall, but no damage, is MK Bourne. And he'll be feeling quite lucky about that. Although in saying that, he does lose a hell of a lot of ground. OKK's 8.5 seconds off the leading group. So that is what the damage is doing to him. And it's keeping Pete, in one sense, in play, but in another sense probably quite frustrated, because he's got a fully healthy car, but he's got 2 damaged cars that'll be helping each other out in front of him. And he can see the leading group disappearing. Saying that, they're about to go 3 wide for the lead. Who comes out on top here then? Who wants to fight it? It's Cliffy in the lead at the moment. And will Arnaud get through on Jake as well? Bit of contact, bit of wheel binding, but it looks like it's going to be just about defended. Well done there from Jake, because I thought he was surely going to lose that. And... well, I think for the championship that's quite good for him, because it means Cliffy gets a playoff point, but of course he doesn't, because he's not a full-time driver, so that sort of nullifies that part of the race. And Pete, gets himself past Jordan, but that's only because Jordan is into the pits, and well, that must be damage related. It's way too early to be into the pits for those mediums. He looked like he was coping relatively well, but well, he's given up on it now. Pete surely has to get OKK at this point. How's your race going, Gareth?
Yeah, nice little battle with Harry here, just kind of listening along to everything that's happening. Harry burning a lot of battery to get past and then defend from me, but yeah, I think Jordan, it must have been a damage thing from him there, just maybe thinking of getting rid of the mediums, get a new front wing, and perhaps get an undercut on OKK if OKK is going to do the same thing when he pits in a few laps' time, but. The guy's, 3.4 seconds up in front of me. It's not really me going to catch up. I'm very much Project Chase, just get to the end, get some finishes. But no, I think at the moment it's looking as though Harry, he's going to stay in DRS. He might just have enough to get past me on the straight if he's saved enough battery. But no real threat at the moment. Kieran 3 seconds back.
Jake's taking this opportunity behind Cliffy to save a little bit of ERS. That is the same story for Arnold. So Cliffy, while he does lead the race, might find himself losing it soon. As we see, finally, the second Jordan gets out of the way, Pete is able to get past OKK and up into 4th place, but it has put him 13 seconds nearly behind the leader. So that is how much he's lost in there, and he's had a bad final corner as well. And we know OKK, he'll take any chance he can get, and he's going to go straight back past. And this is going to be ruining Pete's day. Oh dear. Good stuff, OKK. Good fight. Loving it. Oh, he's back up the inside as Pete. Brilliant stuff. These are 2 day 1 drivers. We always like seeing this. And a little bit of contact, but they're going to get away with it. And I'm sure OKK would have seen what happened to Jordan on the inside of turn 4's exit, so he's not going to stick his nose up the inside of Pete. And keeps what's left of his front wing. But yeah. That's going to help you catch up a little bit, because those two have been definitely slowing each other down in that first sector, but it's been good to watch.
Yeah, it's actually, I've caught up a second in the last lap or so they can keep doing this, it's fine, that works for me. As you say, they will be dropping back off the lead drivers, but I don't think either driver was thinking that a race win was something they were targeting tonight, so they can have their own little battle. And if anything, Pete can do me a favour, just keep that going, because, a lap and a half more of this and I'll be right on the back of them.
Oh, okay, there's a little bit of a snap as he heads through turn 11. That affects him all the way through to the exit of 13. And that might stop him from being able to fight back against Pete. Let's see, though, as the leaders head through. No change there. They're very much line of stern. That's looking to me like an ERS saving exercise. Let's see OKK, though. Does he fancy a dive bomb? He's not using his ERS. He's playing a percentage game. I suppose after Saudi Arabia went all wrong for him last week, he's got the pace for a result here today. And we did say that last week, and we did curse him last week, but this it's encouraging stuff as he goes off at the final call. But he stays in DRS, it's fine. Meanwhile, Kieran and Jamie Griffiths are fighting, and that looks to me like it's Casper arriving on the scene. New fastest lap, passing Ben Harrett. And this phase of the race is working out very nicely for him indeed. Surely he'll be feeling confident about his chances when the top 3 come into the pits, because he's surely running considerably faster than them. And he's just made Jamie Numbers look like an idiot as he just drives any line he wants to move up into P9. So next up, Kieran and I, we've got some side-by-side between Ben Harrett and Jamie. A little bit of contact, but they'll get away with it into the hairpin, and a bit more for extras as well. Here comes Casper, followed by on the inside of Kieran. Will Kieran make it difficult for him? Is Kieran able to make it difficult? He's more struggling with his own car, and nearly spins through turn 8. And that will cost Casper a little bit of time, and he'll be very aware of Kieran's situation, and he'll feel like a right idiot if he doesn't get any damage. Jake has a chance to have a go at Cliffy, but he seems happy enough to stay behind. Arnold almost fell out of DRS on that lap, so we'll keep our eye on that fight. As Casper, he's looking to get 2 in 1 go again, because Kieran's going to get DRS, and Jake does hit the lead now because Tony pits Cliffy after only 8 laps on the mediums. That is fascinating stuff. We'll see how that all goes. And there's been a 10-second time penalty for MK Bourne for a collision with Leroy. Wonder what's going on there. I did see yellow flags, right? But let's just see. Any damage? Oh, a big chunk of end plate missing off Leroy. So whatever's happened there, it's done both of their races in really there. So that is bad news for those two. But 4 pit stops then, all for hard compound tyres. This is a very odd sight to see. I'm quite pleased to see it though. The mediums are basically what like the softs were, and hards have become the tyre to be on, a bit like they are in real life. Really, it's one of those rare situations where the game somewhat reflects reality.
Yeah, as Tony and Casper have come out side by side. They were fighting through turn 1 and turn 2. Looks as though Tony's just managed to do the overcut on Casper. But yeah, it's very, very close between the pair of them.
Well, this is what I was going to say on it. Casper, he can just sit back really in this part of the race. I didn't catch much of the fighting, but I sort of imagined that Tony would get ahead, but not stay ahead. I'm expecting Casper, with what are now much better warmed up tyres. In fact, let's have a look at the numbers there. Do you know what? Actually, Tony's done quite well. He's into the 80s already to heat the tyres up. But you can see that Casper's well into the 90s. So if he's going to have a chance of getting through, he's got 10-degree hotter tyres. He's got softer tyres. This has got to be the moment for Casper to get past and stay ahead of Cliffy. But no. He stays in the tow. He stays in DRS range and doesn't go for the move. He fancies saving some ERS, I suppose. Let's see how Jake and Arne get along. They're not teammates. That's always the first thing to check when the front two come in at the same time. It has affected drivers before. The 2 bends back in Monza last season was a good example of that, I believe. And, oh, that's a car in the main straight. That's Cliffy, who's gone off. No damage. It must have just been a straight-up spin, but that's a massive moment in this race. As is Casper coming out in front of Jake, who's on hards, but crucially, Arnold on the softs. They're not going to last much longer. They're not going to get to the second stage. Has Arnold made a massive... I think he's made a massive mistake here. He's going to have to go, what, 8-9 laps on a single set of softs? That can't work, surely.
It's going to hurt him by the end of the stint for sure. I mean, as I said, 6 laps is really sort of the limit for those tyres. So either he's gone ultra attacking, thinking that he's going to get a safety car, bail him out, or we might have seen that Arnell's perhaps had a little bit of a well, maybe he's the tyre whisperer. He knows maybe he knows what he's doing, but it's it'd be interesting to see.
I do hope he's not going into this thinking lap 14 is the next stage. I do fear that might be what's happening. I also fear you're not going to lead the lap. I wasn't going to say anything, but Casper's just got that much grip on you. And let's see. Will he go for the move? Of course he'll go for the move. Doesn't hurt to send it up the inside, does it, Gareth? Yeah, nicely done. Nicely done. Just force him off the road, nice and calm. Oh, bit of contact. And that's going to let Jake around the outside. This is fantastic stuff. Gareth is making this race alive. We've got a 4-way scrap for the lead, and Gareth leads the lap. Oh, look at that, nearly to the pit wall. And here comes Jake. He's going to get through, is he? No, not quite. But I tell you what, Casper's picked up a penalty. You having him off the road might have just given him the penalty. And I'm sure he'll be thrilled about that. But he does lead the race, and it's going to be Jake in second place, chasing after him. Arnold, well, he ought to be ahead of the two of them and pulling away because he's got a tyre that he's somehow going to make last another 8 laps.
Well, these guys can go and have their own battle. I've got my playoff points, so I'm quite happy with that.
Doesn't really help. Well, it does help Project Chase, actually, doesn't it? That's ideal.
It does, yeah. That's basically all I was here to do. Just get my lap led. Casper wasn't coming through, even if he came through with an extra engine strapped to him. I was going to find a way to keep him behind. But yeah, they can go off and have their own battle. Now is actually going to be in a magnificent position on those soft tyres, but he really needs to make it count. He needs to get to the front of these two and really just disappear and extend, because the others, as I almost go around, as I was you
have gone wrong.
Yeah, not paying attention to what I was doing rather than just talking. But yeah, Arnold, he needs to clear them and use these soft tyres whilst he can.
Well, let's see. Jake's got past Casper. Arnold's got past Casper. Big dummy, and then to the inside for Arnold, and that is a corner cut. He's just cut the corner completely. But he's taken the race lead on track, and I think Jake, in the last 2 minutes, has seen his race come straight to him. As long as he doesn't put it in the wall or anything, I think you can almost call him the favourite already. But here comes Casper back at him. The ERT drivers with their penalties are going to have to do something about Jake. Are they going to perhaps pull the moves that you've been pulling? to try and get some penalties on the board, because Jake, he can manage this now. Cliffy's too far away after his half spin. Didn't pick up any damage, I don't believe, but he was certainly way off to the inside of the final corner. So he needs a safety car to get him back in the race. But this is what I was saying before. We aren't getting that safety car yet. And the fuel situation genuinely might end up being quite critical. Looking at the onboard of Jake, his number is... well, his minus sort of 1.3 on the fuel. He's having to save a lot of fuel here. I don't think he'll be able to get that up. I genuinely... It's here in Qatar that are the two that always end up doing you in for fuel. And if you don't know it's coming, you are in for a stressful last few laps. So we'll keep our eye on that. But Casper's got the same warning light on his car, but he's got a lap more fuel in the car. Arnaud's got way more fuel than he needs in the car. That could help him too. But Cliffy, how's he looking? He's again he's in the green. But it's Jake is a lap and a half down on fuel. That's a problem when that safety car doesn't come.
Yeah, and that's very much a driver hedging his bets on a safety car to help recover that happening. But if a safety car doesn't really come out, if these guys are all kind of spreading out now, as you see, there is gaps forming. You've got a couple of little mini battles happening, but we know that safety cars only really tend to come out when we've got a bit more pack racing. But maybe someone makes a mistake. Maybe we see someone spearing off into the wall. I almost did it as I came into the pits and did it Lewis Hamilton, but just about managed to get away with it. But yeah, that's a bold decision from Jake. He's definitely wanting a safety car.
And the problem that Jake's got is he's just taking the race lead, which means he's going to have to push possibly a little bit more than he wants to sort of hold the ERT boys behind. But that's bad news for Arnaud. His tyres look to already be going off. And he still he's going to have to move to a free stop here. I have a very bad feeling he's going to have miscalculated when the second stage is. That's all I could imagine has happened here. He's the only one out there on the soft, to the surprise of no one. But Jake then goes wide. These lot are all slowing themselves down. Maybe Cliffy's got a chance here, because he is slowly but surely closing in on all this. Because the top three are all starting to play a little bit too much chicken, I think. Here comes Arnaud back at Jake. He'll get him at the end of this lap. And a yellow flag. Don't see anyone stopped, and the yellow flag's gone away. But Arnaud back into the lead. Again, Casper just hanging back and not really getting involved in this. But Cliffy, 3 seconds behind Casper. We'll keep our eye on that gap. As Jake, he's burning the ERS, he's burning the fuel. He wants to lead back into turn 1. He's going to get it as well. So many lead changes tonight. This lot are giving us a fantastic show. It must be said, we don't really need a safety car. We've got plenty of fighting as it stands. And Jake back into the lead once more. And the key here will be to see, as MK boards way off the track. No damage though, so we won't go to safety car. But the key here for Arnaud, does he pit this lap? Because if he does, I fear he might end up looking at the SQ. That is a crash, and that's a safety car. And he's gone into the wall in the final corner. Exit inside. Front left tyre's gone. And that is the safety car that Jake was looking for. Kieran, he dived straight into the pits. We might have to get some VAR on that, although in fairness, actually, doesn't matter. We're not at the second stage yet. Arnaud as well. That's the safety car I think he was looking for, because that might just tide him over to get him to that second stage.
Second stage at lap 18, did you say? So
lap 18, end of lap 18.
I don't know if that safety car's going to stay out long enough to make that. He's going to have to pit. Surely it'll be the first green lap. He's going to be.
I will make a point. Tony's in 4th place, 2 seconds behind Casper. Corey's 5th, 16 seconds behind. So Arnaud could just make another stop for the softs. In fact, all the top 4 could just do that, and then, you know, play their race from there. They've all sort of got a free stop here, and they could take it in this situation. I mean, although it wouldn't count as their mandatory, would it? But
no, but it is outrageous, the gap that they had over the rest of the field.
They're all pitting. Yeah, it was a no-brainer this, but Cliffy stays out on the hard compound tyres. Oh, is that a mistake? I think it might be. As the top 3 into the pits. Now, this is when it would make sense to put a set of softs on. And I do believe they all are. So thank goodness for that. The mistake doesn't ruin Arnoud's race, because it would have been a real shame. He was having a great fight, and the fight will continue as we see the 3 fastest drivers whack on the fastest compound tyre. But will Corey get ahead? Yes, he will! Corey gets ahead of all of them. Oh, I don't think that was in the script. He just about got them. My goodness. We've got 2 hard compound runners at the front, and we've got the 3 fastest on mediums behind. Oh, this is going to be good on the restart. I can't wait.
Yeah, there's, I think a lot of drivers, including myself, thought, well, we've only got a short stint here. Even though I've made a stop, 2 laps ago, might as well put on a set of softs, get to the second stage, put a set of mediums back on, and get to the end of this one. It's going to be a soft medium run here. I doubt anyone is going to try and risk a soft. They might do, as Kieran jumps me. He stays out. Of course, he pitted last lap when the safety car came in.
Correct.
Came out, sorry. So he moves up to P11. Harry Collier, P13. Leroy, P14. A little bit further back. I don't think the Dutchman's having the greatest of evenings tonight. And yeah, I mean, it opens up the race, doesn't it? It allows the likes of Arnoud, it allows the likes of Jake to kind of change up their strategy. Jake can save some fuel, Arnoud can change his tyres, and now effectively everyone's back on the same pace, same tyres, and well, we should have a straight fight to the end of this one.
So the people who are on hards include race leader Cliffy, second place Corey, 6th place Pete, 7th place Jamie Numbers, and 8th place Jordan. Everyone else on a fresh set of the softs. That is, do you know what this feels? It feels like the end of the race, but we're only at lap 15. I suppose a race of sorts ends at the end of lap 18. As Corey does actually pit. Again, I fear this might be a case of Arnoud syndrome, where he thinks this is going to count as a mandatory stop. Let's see what he puts on. Maybe he anticipated he was going to lose the time to the guys around him. He'll come out in probably about 9th. New softs. So, yeah, that was just because I suppose he felt he was going to fall behind regardless. So, I think he just about gets out in 9th place. Not a bad call, that, from Corey, actually.
No, I think, yeah, in this situation, you kind of need to be on softs. The guys on hards are going to get absolutely swallowed at the restart. Yes, everyone... I mean, the only thing I can think about these guys that run hards is that they're going to look to extend it and do a late stop and then run to the end on softs. If you're just going to pit the same as everyone else in around what, 3 laps time or so, then it makes sense to have made a stop. The track position here... I don't know if it's worth staying out on a set of hards when everyone else is on softs around you. Well,
Cliffy's going to try it, and that's a bit of our prophecy coming true, really, about Cliffy and his hard compound tyres. We got there in the end, and he's found himself at the front with them, so we'll see what he can do. Just thought I'd actually mention to the chat as well, because I talked to Jack about this last week. We never really acknowledged him anymore. So Yuri was in the chat. Hi to Yuri if you're still watching. Wes was good about his default setup. Paul McGuinness, nice to see him here as well. He's enjoying his retirement. I'm just saying, there was 2 spots on the grid there. You could have been in one of them. Mary Knighton, you could have been in one as well. You'd probably be better than Pete and Mr. O'Carr.
That's almost certainly true. Yuri, Leroy Soldier Cat. There's no point coming home. You've got no one left to you. Yeah, it's. I hope Mr. O'Carr is watching this, and
he is indeed.
He will be thinking maybe China isn't the one, because at the moment we had a breakaway 3 and no one cares about them. It's all about the midfield battle, and at the moment it's a little bit messy. I don't think anyone's really got the pace at the moment to challenge with some of the faster guys. But I think now the one to watch out for is Arnoud. He was clearly thinking aggressive was the way to go forward. Yeah. Now he's on the same strategy. Is he going to have the pace to stay with them?
Well, we will find out.
More pit stops.
More pit stops. So Casper's coming off those. What's all this about? Is he putting another set of the softs on? No, it's media. Oh.
You're a lap early, Mr. Clean.
You're a couple of laps early, aren't you? You can end a lap 18. Stage is on lap 18, so you can put end of lap 18, or is it end of 19 in that case? was trying to get confused myself.
I usually just listen to whatever someone's telling me in the chat.
Jacko, help me. If the stage is at the end of lap 18, can you
end
then...
End of lap 18.
End of lap 18, yeah. Either way, oh! Casper's really lost it, but he's gone too early, basically. He's gone too early. Oh, Casper. Oh, dear. What's he done that for? Unless he wants to go into the set of sauce at the end of the race.
That's the only thing I'm thinking is he going to do a stint here, try to do some overtaking on the guys that are maybe a little bit slower than them, and then maybe a short stint on the softs, but even then, that's only really going to get him... I mean, he's not going to get a race win out of that. He might get a fastest lap, which, of course, is a playoff point. But
I'll say one thing. It is, they can pit on lap 19, so, yes, sorry about the confusion, it's lap 19. But, what I will say for Casper, everyone around him on those softs are going to be in the pits within 2-3 laps. He'll have a lot of clean air. He can maybe make some ground if they start crashing or messing about. As long as there's no safety car, this could work out very, very well. In fact, even a VSC would help. He's not actually made a mandatory safety car stop, actually, has he? All these safety car stops have been non-mandatories. This is a very odd situation. We don't often see this many non-mandatory, but everyone actually still has one for the safety car pit stops. So Casper, this might work out if he gets good timing. Either way, he'll be by far the fastest guy at the end of the race. Him and Jamie Griffiths will have that same advantage. Safety car is in this lap, though, and we have got Cliffy at the front. I just wanted to point out very quickly as well, it's good to see all of the DRS fighting in this race. A lot of people being able to stay close, because we worried after Australia there was a patch that sort of mucked about with slipstream and DRS. I think we can say the fears about that train that we saw in Australia, the great train we saw, those fears have been dispelled, because we've certainly seen a lot of high quality racing tonight, and it's about to continue, because here comes Cliffy leading on the restart, and Jake a bit slow off the marks, and well, Arnold's got to get by quicker than a quick thing, really, because he's got that penalty to deal with, and he's got his teammate in front who may well be able to help him out as they head through turns 1 and 2. We've got Corey already taking advantage of those new soft compound tyres and up into this top 6, where he was at the start of this race, and he's been really all day. He might be able to start making some further ground forward, as we see Pete under pressure from his teammate in Risky, and we've got side by side for the lead. There goes Jake. He's straight through on the exit of turn 6. That is massive for this race. Corey's up to 4th place. Ben Harrett's into 5th place. We've got 3-4 wide in towards turn 7. That doesn't work most of the time, and somehow they've all come out of that with a front wing intact, but Risky's had to back out, loses 4 or 5 spots. But Gareth, how on earth are you still surviving? Do I dare ask you to talk me through what's happening here?
I just went down. I was the inside of that 3 wide there. There was half a car's gap that Jordan left me. Jordan is struggling on tyre warm-up on those hard tyres. He was really, really losing the back end. So, yeah, I think something happened between Sully and one of the others. And, well, I managed to get down the inside. A little bit of gap loss to Ben Harrett in front, but yeah, up to P6, not a bad restart on my end.
So Arnold's up into 2nd place, but he's crucially going to be outside of the DRS range of Jake, so he's got to really put a shift in here to put himself in this fight, because again, it does look like it's going the way of last week's race winner. As round the final corner, everyone comes to start lap 19. The stage has been won by Jake, so he does get a stage point. Obviously, Cliffy won the first one, but everyone will be suddenly looking for the pits, including Cliffy, and I suppose really saying out may still pay off for him, because he's still right up at the front, actually. So it's got him back in the fight, and I'm sure he'll want off those hard compound tyres ASAP. So a lot of pit stops coming our way. Leroy around the outside of Kieran, he hit the brakes about 50 metres too early, so he's still not really got much confidence in his car. He's in the top 10 as Corey's off into the gravel. He's way off at turn 7.
There was just a cloud of smoke in the air, and a yellow flag came out, so I'm guessing that's where he ended up. There was apart from that, he just disappeared from existence.
And he's now got a 10-second penalty for not rejoining the track in time, and Jamie Griffiths had contact there with MK Bourne, doesn't put it in the wall, but he's certainly got a loss of grip. So lots going on around the rear of the field, but that's catastrophic for Corey. That's day done type penalty, that, unfortunately, unless you can tear that under the pit stop. I suppose you could, but let's see at the front then who's going to pit. I know there's some fighting in the midfield. It's quite difficult to really tell what to focus on as Kieran just breezes up into 6th place like it's nothing. And pit stops, who fancies one? Jake stays out. Arnold's into the pits. It looks like Cliff, a lot of them are staying out. Ben Harrett stays out. Obviously, you stay out, Gareth. The top 4 is Jake, Tony, Ben Harrett, yourself. Looks like Risky stays out. Harry Collier, Casper, who, like I say, is making that grind up, isn't he? And we'll see if it works out for him later on. Corey, MK Bourne, Jamie Griffiths, Jess. And so it's Arnold, Kieran, Jordan, Leroy, and Pete into the pits. Only the 5 of them. That's a surprise to me. Is it a surprise to you?
I was the only thing I'm thinking is, are we going to see a few people trying to stretch this to another set of softs? These softs are already on 25% front left, so they are already wearing. I'll be in at the end of this lap, but maybe people going for the aggressive strategy, trying to make it another set of softs. They're going to have to take them 6+ laps if they're to do so. I do think that you'll see the majority of those have stayed out in this lap onto a set of mediums.
Possibly waiting for a safety car.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, you've got Casper fighting his way through at the moment.
Cliffy's off. Loses a second there. That's not helping his chances out. He'll have Ben Harrett all over him in a moment. Sorry, I was asking you about putting safety cars. I got a bit distracted there. But do you reckon people might think about it then?
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I mean, Tony surely on those hard tyres, but I would expect to see a couple of, especially those in the midfield, look to perhaps extend and go for a set of softs. We've got Ben Harrett staying out, so yeah, I think a couple of drivers hedging their bets that we might get another safety car late in this race and they can get a perhaps a late stop, but it's going to be close.
So who would have called this then? We've got Ben Harrett chasing down Cliffy for the race lead. Casper is now up into 3rd. Obviously has that penalty, but if he's got a few laps here to wait for a safety car to come, and it could, because we've got a train here of Kieran, Leroy, Pete, Jordan, all at the back, all fighting. So look out for that. Arnold's a second behind Jake, so this is sort of where we were on the sauce, but those tyres are warmed up for Arnold. Can he close to within a second and get some DRS as you've come out at the head of the massive battle?
Yeah, I wasn't quite expecting to be that close to it, to be fair, but yeah, Kieran tried going around the outside. I gave him a firm that's not happening, but he of course will have tyres that are warmed up, so he's going to have the advantage on me now, but as the fastest driver in team speed, he should know not to do anything silly, but it is Kieran we're talking about, so who knows?
Again, his inexperience on the pad, well, it's not really an excuse anymore, actually. He's had 21 laps today, he should be used to it by now. It's not that hard to get used to, but yeah, that's a 5-car train that you're heading in P8. You're having quite a good day, actually, in fairness. Keeping your nose clean for once, really. Yeah, it's a different type of day. It's a quiet race for Gareth Hall.
I'm going to get absolutely bombed on DRS here, though. I'm expecting to lose at least 2, if not 3 positions.
Yeah, Arno didn't get into DRS either on Jake, so we will watch this basically as through goes Kieran, through goes Leroy. Will Leroy try it on Kieran? He thinks about it, doesn't get there. There goes your teammate on you as well. Pete doesn't make it work, but he had a try. And you're not in the middle of the train, so it's not gone all that. That's Pete getting a penalty. I sort of presumed to be you because you went wide. But Pete now gets a penalty under the pressure of having to try and pass the fastest member of team speed. Clearly, that's what's caused that.
Well, exactly. They're all just jealous. I mean, I'm not quite sure why we're doing this. This is all team speed, like not working together, which is classic. But as Pete's going to try and put it down the inside stupidly, because you're not going to get past there, because I've got the inside for the next corner. So there's no point even trying. Don't try and switch back, Peter. That's why.
Try to focus on your braking zone, Gareth.
There we go.
Oh dear.
That's what happens.
That's actually my entire fault because I was going on about how clean your race was going. But,
yeah, I know. Well, that's exactly what I was moaning about last week.
Project Chase, though. Project Chase.
But you get on the curb,
You're
and if you've got any
now.
foot on the throttle, then you immediately spin. So yeah, I know. Tell me about
no
it.
No offense to Jess, but she knows.
I'm gonna go in the party after this and berate Pete because there was just no point fighting me like that. this is what I don't understand. In that situation, just work together. We don't need to be squabbling. But Pete Knighton's got a Pete Knighton, and I'm now back in 15th with a silly mistake. But never mind, Project Chase is on.
And Project Pit is on here for Cliffy. Onto a new set of the soft compound tyres. Let's see if he can make those work. Although it must be said, he's already got Arnoud passing him on the main straight, and he'll be way off into turn 2 by the time he gets off the limiter. So he's got a lot of ground to make up here. And, well, Casper, as a result, will have even more to make up as Ben Harrett comes out. Didn't quite manage to undercut, which is, I suppose, just showing the pace difference, because he had 2 laps on those new mediums, and he couldn't make anything work. Simple equation now for Casper, I suppose. Wait for a safety car or pit and hope for the best. It does, again, look like Jake's having it all his own way. I think Jamie Griffiths as well would be feeling quite pleased with himself. He could be on for a good result here as Pete goes off at the same corner you did on the last lap and ends up falling to the back of the train of 4 cars. In 10th place, you'll have Corey possibly catching up soon, and Risky on a brand new set of softs as well. He'll be catching all of them. There could be a P7 in this for him if he gets his way, so we'll keep our eye on that as well. But let's see Cliffy's pace then, because we reckon these softs are really good for 2 or 3 quick laps. The problem he's got is he's 4.5 seconds behind Arnoud. He has to get within 1.5 to beat him. But then after that, it's another 2 seconds to catch Jake's, and Jake's in DRS of Jamie Griffiths, so it needs another safety car, I think, for him. And like I say, they're all catching Casper now, so Casper is crossing his fingers now and waiting for the miracle, as in fact Jamie Griffiths nearly crashes at the last corner, and that makes Jake's job a little bit easier. Harry Collier gets done and nearly taken out there by MK Bourne, but they got through alive. And that is 13th for MK Bourne, although he does, I believe, have that 10-second penalty, so he's not going to stay there. Pete fighting away with Corey, and Corey, having had a pretty miserable day so far, he'll be looking to at least finish in the top 10. He may not keep it because, again, he has a penalty, but still, he'll be fighting for a little bit of pride after that off at turn 7, and they're fighting relatively hard. I think Corey will probably think about it on the inside, but not go for it. Didn't feel too confident into there. Arnoud's lost a second to Cliffy on that last lap, and it's not really enough, is it? If you're Cliffy, in terms of actually catching and being the fastest car and having a chance of winning the race. Second place is very much on, but he'll want the win on his JACKOCAR debut. I think part of him may well have even been expecting it. But Arnoud, he's having a look. And right on the outside of turn 13, that's just the difference in the grip in the tyres. And up into 4th place goes the Belgian. And, I mean, you can still see Jake. It's quite agonising. It's been within 1.5 seconds for the last sort of 10 laps, it feels like, and he just can't make it work. Kieran, still in the back of Leroy. And he's just being patient on this. Jordan as well. They're just sort of biding their time. They're all being oddly calm at this phase of the race. It's like they all don't want to risk anything. As well, Cliffy, fastest lap, 33.3. It's good. It's not great. I think Casper will probably go quicker when he pits, but well, he's going to have to pit soon. He needs the safety car to beat this lap. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I can't see that happening. I mean, the only real battle it looks like you got going on is between the speed guys up front, and, well, to be fair, that could quite comfortably do something.
Big contact, 3-4 times between Corey there and Pete. Somehow only an end plater comes off. I can't believe it. There are bits of floor flying everywhere. But they're somehow alive still. Oh, and Pete into the back there and loses a bit of his car as well. Oh, they're teasing us. Oh, but no safety car. Risky there. A bit of collateral damage in that incident. I don't know how we haven't got a lost front wing in that situation. That really could have been the moment. I just even cursing it as well. I thought it was meant to be.
Yeah, well, I did think that it would be probably coming from Speed Knighton's direction. It is a trend at the moment that Pete does maybe get ahead of himself when it comes to thinking there's a gap open. But yeah, I mean, it would have to come out now if there's a safety car, and even then I don't think it's going to benefit Casper. I think he's tried a strategy, it's not worked, And he's done very well to build this gap, but it looks as though as we go on to lap 25 that
26.
he will drop onto 26. I'm still on 25. Yeah, so
that's even worse for Casper, that though.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna have to stop, and what he doesn't want is to fall into the clutches of the guys a little bit even further behind, because he will be fighting for the playoffs, so he needs as many points as he can at the moment.
I will suggest again, is he aware he's got to pit? I'm sure he is. He's been in a party with Arnold, I would have thought, and I'm sure Arnold will be telling him, you've got to pit. You're on lap 26, you can wait until lap 27, but you won't even get your fastest lap if you wait that long. If we don't see Casper in the pits at the end of this lap, I'll be expecting the disqualification, but we do see it happen every now and then, where they forget. But I'm sure he won't have. But I really hope he. I mean, it'd be quite funny. But let's just hope he pits this lap, because I don't know. I've had that feeling all day that someone's going to get it wrong. It's been a very odd day in terms of strategy, because let's say the tires actually wear for once. It's a very rare occurrence, really. It's a bit like being back on F1 2013, really, when the tires just didn't think about lasting around here. And Casper, is he going to pit? No, I think there's a black flag coming here, because what's the point in pitting on lap 27? You're not going to get the fastest lap, are you? Unless I'm seriously getting this wrong. Hold on a minute. I've got to recalculate it. Well, we were there. I know damn
He definitely pitted on lap 17, because it was under the safety car. No one else did.
Yeah.
I think it's a faux pas from Casper.
Oh dear. And he'll probably celebrate it as well, because it's going to typically be a win that he goes and blows, isn't it? But the fact is, even if he pits now, he'll be well down the order. So, I mean, it's not really anything to help him. We've got a car off. That's Pete again. But he recovers back over the track. I should defend Pete, by the way, as well. It was Corey absolutely launching his car into him when they came together in turn 3.
They've both got history of doing that to teammates. Corey tends to take out ERT, and Pete has a history of trying to take out his own team as well. So they would do well in their own team together.
Yeah. They're sort of meant to be, really, aren't they? As I suppose you fancy the fastest lap yourself, then a bit more of that.
I'm not going to get it, but I might as well try and do something. But I'm only losing a position to Jess, and my ego can't be as any more bruised than it already has been. So why not give it one go?
Fair enough. Let's watch our hardened criminal in Casper. Look, perhaps he's mucking with us. He's mucking about, and he's actually going to pit this time. As I think that's MK Bourne. That's a bit of a mare. No, that's a black flag for Casper. He wasn't going to win anyway. As Jacko did confirm to us in the chat, you can pit on lap 19, but you must pit after lap 19, or on or after it. That's how stages work in JACKOCAR, and you've got to make your mandatory 2 pit stops. So the first one, end of lap 3, and the second one, after the second stage, which today, let's say, was end of lap 19. Casper, I mean, you can do the maths. 28 minus 11 isn't 19. It's less than that. So that's sort of the easiest way of saying it. He's not followed the regulations, and a strong start to the season leads to losing a win on the last lap in Australia, not showing up to the second race, and losing a win on the last lap in China, except your disqualification. Bit of a George Russell going on here, but even more illegal, but oddly enough, for the same reason. Too long on a set of tyres, you naughty boy. Now, let's see if Cliffy can pass Arnold. He's going to get him on the penalty anyway, but he might get some DRS, so I suppose we can have a look at that. Just in case. I don't think he will get him, and no, he's not going to get him. Let's actually watch Casper. No, let's watch Jake. This is his moment. He won't know it, although I'm sure he'll have probably worked it out. Oh, that's Pete off again. And he'll recover. Just about. More yellow flag. Oh, maybe he hasn't. Do you know what? I don't really know, to be honest. But Cliffy doesn't get past Arnold, but he knows he'll get through on the penalty anyway. Casper, round the last corner. Oh, he's celebrating it as well. Oh dear, that's going to be a difficult conversation later on. Jake, round the final corner. It's 2 wins in a row in Season 10, and it is the Chinese Grand Prix for the man who's helping Jacko out quite a lot because we've got more than 10 races in the regular season. And the question did come up, what do we have more than 10 different winners? Well, we might not have to worry about that if Jake keeps on winning. It's the win in round 2 and 3. Cliffy in second place, Arnold third. Ben Harrett, what a race, fourth place. Bit underrated, but he's done great. Jamie Numbers is also going to be disqualified. He did the same thing as Casper. So actually, yeah, that's Leroy up to 5th. He'll be happy as well. Kieran 6th. Jordan 7th. Risky 8th. Harry Collier 9th on his debut. Very impressive. Jess into 10th. MK Bourne 11th. Corey 12th. Pete 15th. Becomes 13th. And I'll be quiet as you... well,
it's not happening, but it's fine.
Now. You're close, though. You're about half a second off. Well, about 4/10 off it.
Yeah, just a bit off. A little bit of a moment in the middle part of the second sector, but never mind. It makes it look a little bit more attractive. That I was somewhat competitive, but yeah, learning no traction, getting on those curbs on no traction. As soon as you've got throttle and the car raises off the ground, it just turns around. I
owe Jamie Griffiths an apology. He is indeed on a joker. Casper wasn't. That's why I was getting confused. Either that or the graphic is wrong. So yes, Jamie, you keep your position. So everyone down from him, actually they keep their position. Sorry about that, Jamie. I was well confused because of Casper. That's entirely my own fault. So yes, Jamie Griffiths was on a joker. Casper absolutely wasn't. He's been black flagged. So I'll run for the order again. That's entirely my own bad. This is where I need Jacko, right? Jake wins the race. Actually, this is great. Just ignore Casper then. Let's just get him off the screen. So Jake wins the race from Cliffy, Arnold, Ben Harrett, Jamie Griffiths in P5. Great result. Leroy 6th, Kieran 7th, Jordan 8th, Risky 9th, Harry Collier 10th, Jess 11th, MK Bourne 12th, Corey 13th, Pete 14th, Gareth 15th. Retirements, OKK Waste, and Casper's disqualified. And I think Casper's probably having a bit of a moan now in the chat, I'm guessing.
Casper says he did what everyone was supposed to do as well. Shocking. So he's complaining, but never mind. It was a disqualification regardless. Jamie Numbers. I think he deserves disqualification because who on earth would choose to have China as their joker? A circuit that you desperately kind of want 2 stops at, but. Yeah, he gets 6, which is a decent haul of points anyway, and ends a race that was made a little bit interesting by the introduction of that safety car. But yeah, it's certainly well. Congratulations to Jake. I think even though we do have a longer, I think that definitely confirms that he will be making an appearance in the playoffs.
Yes, I think we've got 12 races in the regular season, don't we? So all we need is one more repeat winner, and then we don't have to worry about the what if we get 11 winners problem. Yeah, that's that. So yes, again, apologies to Jamie, although I'm sure he's probably seen. I got a bit wrapped up because, let's say, Casper did indeed cheat. But there you go, that's racing sometimes. Jacko was on the ball as well, so thank goodness. He also agreed that Casper cheated. He's already put all the graphics up to say that he is the winner, Jake. So well done to him. That has been the last game on F1 20, or last race on F1 24 for 1 week anyway, because we're back on F1 23 next week. Have you still got the game? I hope you do. If you don't, delete this one, get last year's, because we're back on the France Super Speedway. Yes! I'm very excited. Are you excited, Gareth?
I am. I mean, I have to re-download the game, but it's Speedway is definitely the best part of the season. And so yeah, looking forward to that one.
Best news is we're there twice. Once next week on August 8th, and then the third to last race of the season in France is going to be December 5th. So 2 races in France, 2 races in F1 23, and very excited indeed. I absolutely can't wait. And do you know what? The sad thing is, the safety car actually did kind of ruin this race because of the fighting we had before, but I am pleased to see that the fighting was quite strong with the DRS scene and all the rest of it. No dirty air messing things up. So I think the post-Australia update to the game hasn't quite messed everything up as we feared it might. Obviously things can still improve, but China, I think you did quite well. And I mean, aside from the accident, did you at least have any fun in that race? I mean, you had a led lap.
I mean, it was a bit. I led a lap, so yeah. Project Chase is on. It's China. It's not. I don't really find driving around there enjoyable at all. But yeah, Pete is seemingly saying that because I missed my braking point, I'm the one that was in the wrong. But that's a conversation that will happen in the speed chat in a second. But no, it's it's definitely one that I'm looking to strike off the calendar moving forward. It's just a circuit for me. But I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope it was a good race. I will be watching it back. But yeah, it's a difficult one to enjoy, unfortunately.
Yes, and just for the stats nerds, because I know Jacko always does, that's a 50th top 5 for Jake, a 15th win. So congratulations to him. I'm sure he will have very much enjoyed that. And let's say it's a very strong start to the season. It's bad when Jake starts the season well, because you were saying about it in the chat before about Ben Shaw missing the first few races and saying that should disqualify you from being in the Championship 5. Of course, Jamie, I keep saying Jamie, Jake missed, the first 4 or 5 races of Season 6? He didn't score a point, or Season 5, Christ. Didn't score a point until about 7 races in. Won the Championship 5. Was the first chase driver to do that. So maybe Ben Shaw can look at that as an omen. He can do a Season 5 again. And yeah, I'm sure he'll enjoy the hopium I've given him there. But I think we've done enough rambling. I will end the stream there. Thank you, Gareth, for being the in-car commentator. I think you did a smashing job, and you complained a hell of a lot less than Jacko did last week.
Yeah, well, it's not easy, but no, I was glad to do it. It's fun. It's always fun driver comms, just to give you that point of view.
And yeah, Jacko, I imagine, will be back next week, and I think it will finally be me and Jacko in a commentary box together commentating on a race. It's taken quite a while for that to happen, but he won't be in the cockpit, hopefully. And yeah, we'll be sort of business as usual, and we can stop calling this the Kia Series, because Prime Cup Series is back. Also, once again, keep your eye on the Twitter, or if you're in the Discord, keep an eye on that, because all the Jacko Ball results are going in. It's the Cup next week. So we'll all be very much engaged with that. I think, again, all the drivers and people at JACKOCAR enjoy the football more than the F1 at the minute, but it's definitely worth keeping an eye on the socials, because Gareth makes a lot of very good graphics for it, and ever so slightly we're building up quite a big backlog of highlights, so we'll be able to show you quite a lot of Jacko Ball as it progresses, so keep your eye on that. I don't know if you've got anything to say on Jacko Ball, Gareth, because I know it's sort of your child in a sense.
I love Jacko Ball. It's the greatest thing that JACKOCAR are doing at the moment. There will be things coming out on the socials, whether it be goal of the tournament. There will be announcements coming with in preparation for Season 2. In next week, if you are part of the Jacko Ball community, it is the JACKOCAR Cup, the JC Cup. So that will be taking place next Wednesday, yes, because Kia starts on Tuesday. So next Wednesday will be Jacko Ball.
Yes. And that will be where it ended now. Enough rambling. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. We will see you next week on F1 23 for the France Superspeedway. Remember last season where we saw Jordan win there? Literally anything can happen. So I'll be getting the OKK flags out. Safe travels, and see you next week.